Is this actually real? Does this actually exist? This is probably the most surreal game release I've ever seen. Like, this is something you'd only see on 4chan. Anywho, Super Mario 3D All-Stars was revealed back at the beginning of September and it was released basically 2 weeks later. What? Now, when I was talking about Nintendo's release schedule a while back, I said this probably didn't exist. I said it would be really weird to celebrate a year at the end of a year, and that 3D All-Stars collection coming out in September would have been announced in July to have at least 2 months. Welp. Anyways, I just wanted to go over my thoughts on this collection and say what things were added, what issues it has, because there are some, but most importantly, why this is a dream come true. I first want to go through the background I have had with each of these games. I grew up with a Nintendo 64 and a Wii basically, so I had access to 64, Galaxy, Sunshine, and even that fabled second Galaxy game. So I had it a bit different than most kids. I used to play all 3 of these games all the time. I never minded that one looked worse than the other or one was more outdated. I found them all fun and very addicting. So yeah, it's pretty obvious I have massive nostalgia for these games. So when I say that Super Mario 64's camera isn't very good, it's true. Now, how the camera worked on the Nintendo 64 was they used the C buttons instead of a second stick. The C buttons worked okay, but transferring that to a control stick isn't exactly ideal. I really wish they would have gone in and actually added a normal camera for this remastered version. It's still perfectly playable, but pretty annoying. Other things added to SM64 are a 720p resolution, all the text has been up-res along with the textures. This is the best looking official version of Mario 64 out there, though it's a shame it isn't in widescreen, or there isn't at least an option for it. Interestingly though, the version of Mario 64 they used for this collection is the Shindo edition, which is the Japan version that released 1 year after the original did, but only in Japan. It didn't add much, only some small things in Rumble. But it did do something important, and it happened to patch out the most legendary glitch of all time, the backwards long jump. Now, while it's technically a glitch and should make sense for it to be patched out, it was the only major glitch patched out in the Shindo version, and therefore it annoys me they patched out the most influential glitch of all time and left every other glitch alone. At that point, just use the original version. So overall, it's the same game as before, just a real shame some of the limitations they put on this one. In general though, I think Mario 64 is still a fun time. Has it aged over time? Yeah. Is it still a good time? Yeah. Collecting Power Stars in any order you want, planning out your route makes this one of the most replayable games ever. There's so much to find and discover in these small sandbox-like levels. This is just amplified by the movement Mario can do. Mario has so many different moves at his disposal. I'm eventually going to do videos on each of the Mario games individually, but for now, it's still a good time. Definitely has showed its age though. Now this is the one everybody hates or loves. There's not many in between here. Super Mario Sunshine has never actually been re-released, so for the first time, many people get to rage, play this one. There are some changes of course. It's now in HD, is in 1080p widescreen which looks really crisp at times. The controls have been slightly altered to account for it not being a GameCube controller anymore. One button to squirt Flood Full Blast and the other slightly. I found this works surprisingly well. For other editions, the camera was reversed for no real reason. And that's about it for additions. This is essentially the GameCube game ported to the Switch, which means they didn't fix any of the plethora of glitches. This is by far the most unpolished Mario game ever released. This game loves to just randomly clunk out at times. It's really funny. Or horrible, but you know. Anyways, despite its unpolished nature, this is my favorite game of all time. I am sorry. Give me your concerning looks. I love so much about this game, from its world's atmosphere, the secret levels, and even the controversial blue coins. Flood makes movement such a joy, as it now opens up so many other options. Sunshine is such a blast, and while I could definitely understand why so many may despise it, I just can't relate. The last game of the collection and one of the most critically acclaimed games of all time, Super Mario Galaxy. The additions here aren't many. It's now in 1080p and runs in HD. The biggest addition, however, is that the moment-to-moment gameplay now doesn't require motion controls. The main mechanic in Galaxy is the spin ability, in which originally on the Wii, you would have to shake the Wii remote to perform one. Now it's completely optional and mapped to a button. Same goes for the pointing at the screen mechanic in the original. It now uses gyro controls, which actually works better than you'd think, especially for the Pro Controller. Now while in the original I found the shaking the Wii remote just fine, I can't deny a button is much more convenient to use. For a lot of people this makes the game just that much better, and that's great. Mario Galaxy itself now, this game is just fantastic. This game attacked the Mario formula from an epic cinematic angle, and it just works so well. Then with the game being in space, it really just adds to that amazing feeling. Every time Mario soars through a launch star, you can really feel the impact. The gravity mechanic is also such a novel idea, though I will say at times it makes the controls a bit wonky, especially in the water segments. This game also has Rosalina though, which is an automatic point, so it's a completely optional story, extra challenges, so much to love. And I haven't even mentioned the music, my god. This game is literally a blast. Outside of the games, there's very little to mention. There are soundtracks to view from each of the respective games, which is nice I guess. That's about it though. It's pretty obvious throughout this video that Nintendo barely added anything to these games. This is a celebration, a collection, and it's so lazy. There isn't even an art gallery. This is just obvious stuff. Then when you hear the games are being emulated, you just realize how much of a time crunch they were probably in. But despite its flaws, I still believe Super Mario 3D All-Stars is one of the best values you can get. These are three of the most recognizable games of all time. They are instant classics and are beloved by many. If you want to go for 100% in each one of these games, you'll probably be spending 60 to 70 hours total. Or if you just want to beat each one, it needs you to 30-40 hours. That doesn't even mention just how replayable these games are. Then on top of that, the thing that really drives this home for me is its portability. I've always dreamed of being able to play Mario Sunshine in my bed with ease. You could technically do this with 64 and Galaxy on the Wii U, but the emulation, at least for 64, wasn't very great. The color just looked very drained. You also couldn't take the Wii U gamepad very far from the console without it screaming at you, so that's fun. So to be able to play 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy anywhere you want is something I used to dream about. This is something I've always wanted and now it's here, and I'm so happy it is. While it's okay to be upset and call Nintendo out on all the missing features and questionable decisions for this collection, because believe me, it was a rough 2 weeks leading up to release, it's still such a great value. Now, can we go back and see how Galaxy 2 is doing, because I'm kind of concerned. Wait, it has a 97 on Metacritic, and they're ignoring it?